Hey, this is Meloriota Lucy, and you're listening to the Rough Concept Podcast. Josefina, my girl, thank you for being here with me. Look, I just want everybody to know we were getting into the nitty gritty, and I was like, we're going to have to reel it back because we need to talk about this in the episode, because once we start talking, we get into such a fluid conversation that y'all would have just got wherever we started and it would have been a thing. But when I started the Rough Concept Podcast idea, and when I thought about the women, the artists and creatives that I wanted to have conversation with and wanted to be with me on this journey, because I think like community is everything in terms of like how I navigate projects. And when I got my people with me, it's just like, I'm coming. So I thought about you because of the conversations we've had in the past and just following your journey. And a lot of what you say resonates with me as a woman, as a Black woman, as a mom, as a creative, as a wife, a friend, and a business owner too. And I was like, easy. Josefina, I wrote your name and I was like, hopefully she can do it. And I know like with this season of life that you're going through and you're making such a, transition with your beautiful twin boys, I just appreciate you being here. And I'm so glad that we can have this conversation. I'm just so glad. I wish I can give you a huge hug. Virtual hugs it is, because I'm happy you're here.
Girl, same.
So give the people a brief introduction. Let them know who you are, why I love you so much.
So funny because I am in a season where I'm trying to figure out who I am. I think that just stepping into this space of motherhood after trying to become a mom for so long with infertility and loss, I found myself wrapping my identity and even my business identity towards what I was struggling with. So much so that it was hard for me to really claim my identity in more than just what I was struggling with. So I would say right now, I am a creative freelancer. I am a jack of all trades. And I always struggled with that too. I struggled with that.
Same. And we can definitely get into that conversation.
Yeah. Because I used to be like, man, people are just going to think like, girl, you just don't know what you are, what you want to do. But I'm like, I have multiple passions. I love doing different things. So I would say I'm a creative freelancer. I am a calligrapher. I am a sign maker now.
I love it too.
Which has been so fun. We'll get into that later.
I know. I've seen your process. I was like, yes. I just get so excited.
So fun.
Yeah, girl.
I am starting to do some copywriting.
Oh, good.
So AI, don't be trying to take my
job. No, I don't think it'll ever replace humans. Look, while I be over here excited talking about, girl, you need to look and copy it. Me too. Yeah.
So I'm an artist and I'm a writer. We'll leave it at that.
I love that. And who's to say we can't be a jack of all trades? And there's an extended part to that quote, which when I learned about it, the way it's been said or how we've been conditioned to think that meant wasn't the full story. And there's many layers to that. But
wow.
Yeah. Jack of all trades is a master of none. But where is it? I'm about to find this. Something better than a master of one or something like that. I'll put it in the show notes or something. But that's not even the full scope of the quote. And I feel like, oh my God, it just confines so many people that, there's so much more for us to give. And when we navigate in that space, you're not even showing all of your, true gifts and your passions and stuff. That was whack. But I'm gonna
And
send it to
it could
you.
be, I feel like people struggle to own that they are gifted in many aspects,
Yeah.
because especially when you like look for somebody that might be interested in becoming an influencer or an artist, they're like, you need to find the three things that you want to talk about. And it's like,
No
three things. Well,
pillars.
what if I have five?
Yeah.
So they're telling you find your pillar or your niche. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, I do a lot of things. There are a
Yeah.
lot of things that shape up the values of my life. I
Right.
don't just have one thing that I value. There are many.
Many
So
things. Yeah.
I think getting to the place where I truly owned that I was more than just one thing allowed me to say, you know what? This is what I am. I'm a creative freelancer.
Yeah.
You
And I
want
think
specifics?
too,
I'll give you specifics. I write, I
right.
draw,
I
I do calligraphy.
specializing in these things, but I'm a
Yes.
creative freelancer 100%. And I feel like as we like navigate life and everything and we grow and we experience things, like we're gonna change. So when you say, you know what, I don't fully know. And you know what, it could change from creative freelancing. You probably want to do something else. Like if we should give ourselves the freedom to do that, because then we're putting ourselves in a box. So no, today
Yes.
love your answer so much. And when you said that, I said, "Oh yeah, party time. We about to jump into this conversation." But how long have we? So we connected because I know I was a calligrapher when I found you. I can't remember exactly when though. I think it just kind of
Girl, it's
like
been a long time.
it's been a long time. I know I started in 2017. So it must have been around that time because I was so excited to see another calligrapher, another Black woman calligrapher. And that was in like 2017. And I was just getting started with calligraphy and just following your journey. And I was just like, yes, yes, yes. And we connected at some point, and I was just like, oh my God, I love her. And we finally met last year
I know.
in
Yeah, it was last
November.
year.
And like you build relationships on social media, right? And I guess for me, like I always get nervous when I meet people in real life. Like I know we've been good, we've been rocking, we've been FaceTiming, voice messaging back and forth. But when we gave each other a hug at Alex's event in Houston, I said, this experience was way better than I even imagined it would be
Yes.
meeting you in person. It was just like we've seen each other in real life before, and it was like this moment had already happened, And I loved it. And I'm just, yeah. Shout out to social media for the relationships that I've been able to have with other women. Sometimes social media be tripping. I give it side eye, but it has very beautiful parts. And I think
Yeah.
that's my number one, like, biggest thank you to like having this platform is meeting people.
Yes. I think the biggest reason why I'm still on social media
Yeah, exactly.
is because I've met some of my greatest friends
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And it's still tough sometimes,
Mhm.
and I feel like these algorithms and how fast things are changing can
Yeah.
be super intimidating. But
Right.
I think just being in the season that I am now, I'm like, let's go back to the things that brought that joy and that spark and that love for what you did before. I
Right.
think that we could just get so caught up in the nitty gritty and the, okay, like, I need to make this money. I need to
The stats
make
and
this much
the
money. I need
analytics
to,
and the money. Yeah.
you can
That
get
is,
so caught up in that you forget like the joy and the intention that
yeah.
you cultivated during that time that you spend on social media. So this is interesting.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, any good thing could be bad for us if it's not used properly, right? That was a big part of my I talked to my therapist about it. I was like, social media at one point to me was kind of like being in high school again. And after not creating for so long and then sharing my work on this platform, hoping people liked it, seeking that validation, at the end of the day, it really is up to us, like how it affects us, how it's used, how we consume on there. And what
Yes.
I've learned too is that with all the change, all the algorithm changes and how many times you should post stories, all these new features and things like that, you really have to tap into like what's gonna work specifically for you. You have to be anchored in like that to like weather the change, and you know, when it gets chaotic and stuff, find that center to kind of bring you back. And for it to be sustainable, it has to be 100% you. Like it has to work for you in the way that it works for you. Like when it works for you. Like, or if it even works for you. Like, is, you know, social media the platform you need to use for whatever it is you're trying to do and the community you want to build? You really have to tap into where it fits in your life rather than how do you fit in it, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's why I'm in this space now where I'm reclaiming my passion.
Yeah, so
I'm
let's get
taking it
into
back.
that. Yeah, so I saw your post and you was like, I'm closing up shop. And I was like, what? I got some happened. Wait. But when I saw your caption about you reclaiming your passion, I was like, oh, I get it. And that's such a boss move to me. Like it's so bold, it's so courageous, especially when everything like always get so monetized. Like, oh, you can make money doing that, or you can make money doing this. And then you start that thing, and while being an artist and a calligrapher and a writer, you know, you still have to make money. So how do you balance that? It's just like this consistent, like finding your rhythm between the two. You doing what you love, but you still got to pay your bills.
Yeah.
So sometimes there's friction in that. And you know, that's the time to, you know, go back to the basics, the foundation, and see what needs to be changed or unpack that. So I would love for you to share that journey. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would say that it started like around 2020.
Hmm.
You know, I think that with the rise of the Black Lives Matters movement, I felt like during that time, before that, I was being very intentional with the community I was cultivating through Instagram and social media. And once 2020 happened, I feel like just a bunch of people started following or buying my work out of guilt. And I don't know their heart, you know, it might have not been that, but I feel like a lot of them hit that follow and started sharing about my work.
Yeah.
Because, oh, I never seen this Black person before. Here's a Black person I follow. Here's whatever.
Yeah.
And I struggled with that because during that time I was grieving out loud. You know,
Mm.
I was sharing these things, I was sharing my experience, but in a sense, I was seeking that validation where it was like, your feelings are valid. The reason
Right.
you're upset is I feel you. But instead, like I started just, it was like a fast growth.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt like I just needed to stay on top of my creativity
Yeah.
and have stuff out. So then it was like 2020 became the year of feeling that pressure.
Yeah.
So while this is happening, I get pregnant, I lose that baby
Mm-hmm.
after 3 years of trying to conceive and after 3 years of our first loss. So now I'm grieving from like what's happening. I'm grieving from resurfaced racial trauma that I experienced. I'm
Right.
going through trauma that we are currently experiencing, like in our
Instantly, like
world,
from every angle, right?
on top of, you know, like now you have this loss. So it was a ton of stuff happening at once. Yet I still felt like I need to be like producing. I need to be showing up. I need to continue because people want to see what I have to say.
Right.
But at that point, I was like, I am literally running myself dry. So this was already October 2020. And then we got pregnant with our twins in December 2020. So it wasn't even too like long of a time where I go from losing a baby to like now we're pregnant and now we're pregnant with two and it's a high risk pregnancy and there's two of them and you're going to the hospital like twice a week and I feel sick. I'm going, I can't keep anything down. I have an IV to give me food literally because I couldn't eat anything. I'm dropping weight on top of the pressure of showing up on social media, the trauma that resurfaced, the trauma from the lost, and now new trauma being added as you are literally walking through an answered prayer.
Right.
So it was so much. And I'll fast forward to last year when I had the boys in 2021. It was like, this is wild. Like, I can't believe that, like, I finally had these boys. Like, I can't believe it. But there was also that fear of these are Black boys. And I'm still trying to navigate through all of what we experienced in 2020 plus 2021. And now I felt like I was underwater. And then once the boys came, they're going to NICU. I'm there for like the first 30 days of their life. It's during COVID. So like you're having to wear, literally my kids saw me in a mask when I had them. That was their the first thing they saw was their mom in a mask. So there was just a lot of trauma building up on top of build up, on top of build up, on top of build up. And I think last year, I just had a breaking point and I was like really struggling with postpartum depression and anxiety. And when I started seeking out help and I started getting medication and I was seeing my therapist once a week, I just got to a place where I was like, I haven't fully enjoyed even this season of my life, even this answered prayer, because I've been on survival mode this entire time. I haven't enjoyed my business because I've been in survival mode this entire time. I haven't created out of a place of joy and abundance because I've been in survival mode this entire time. And last December, my dad went to the hospital. And I haven't gone to Dominican Republic in 7 years, which means I haven't seen my dad in 7 years. Wow. And my kids haven't met my dad. So like, I thought I was going to lose him in December. And that was really hard for me because I was just like, I don't think I want my journey with my dad to end here. And I think that there were so many things that kind of just stopped us to even going to DR and spending time with him with like COVID and just life happening. But it was then that I had that wake up call that I don't want to live in survival mode anymore. So I started taking active steps in my life and in my home to just bring joy and peace and ease into my life. Yeah. That doesn't mean that like the anxiety or the depression went away. That doesn't mean that the grief went away, but it was like, okay, I need something that's going to help me just be still and like enjoy life again, because I felt like life was sucking the life out of me. So I got to this space where I started decluttering and like literally getting rid of like journals from like when I was struggling with when I was going through my trying to conceive journey, and like a bunch of journals that just had so much stuff in it. Right. And I just felt like I had to like release some of these things to make room for joy to come into my life. And it was hard because these are like memories and these are things that
I was thinking that. I was like, wow, that's
So like you're making it was hard. Yeah. It was hard. I was like physically just removing stuff from my house. And it was interesting because as I did that, it was bringing back so much joy. Like I was like, oh, I feel like drawing today. oh, I'm going to do like this card today. It was like my creative juices started flowing again.
Right.
And I wanted to be really careful on monetizing off of it. So like, I feel like, you know, when the sink is clogged up and you hear it go,
yeah,
and you still got to clear it out. Like
yeah,
you still have to clear out more things to let it flow. I'm
yeah,
in that space of my life. I want to reclaim my passion and I don't want to fall back into the monetization right now because I need to get into a healthier space where, okay, you know, if there's momentum, then great. Like we'll work through that. But I think that like, I felt like my work was only meaningful if I continued to work on survival mode, if I continued to share my trauma. And I'm in this space now where I'm like, no, like I'm going to take my power back and I'm going to share joy and encouragement and hope. And yeah, that may mean like sharing vulnerable parts of my life, but it doesn't have to stay there. But in order for me to like do that, I need to see it for myself because I haven't. Like love offering started off as, when you think of a love offering, you're going to it's usually at a church, and a love offering is like a surprise gift to somebody else. You're giving this gift to someone else. They're not expecting it. It could be as like a form of money. It could be a gift. It could be something, but it's a love offering to someone. And my biggest thing with love offering is to love people and serve well. But I can't do that if I'm in an unhealthy space or if I don't see meaning in my life. And I think now I'm in like this slow cooker season where I'm regaining my flavor, where I'm finding the things that used to bring me joy, and where I'm creating from a place of abundance, where it is no longer this space of survival mode. And I feel like a lot of times we give into creating out of pressure because there's finances and things that we need to take care of. And that was the biggest fear for me because I'm like, I can't stop working. Like, what am I going to do? Like, if I turn this, if I close down this shop, and I feel like I'm just in the season as a believer, I'm just in the season where I just need to trust God. Like, I feel like, you know, I've been given other opportunities to use my art in like different local spaces, and I'm getting paid in that way. And I just feel like, yeah, it's so exciting. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, this is what I'm going to do right now. And I'm just going to continue creating. That doesn't mean like later on I might open the shop again. But right now I'm just like, I need to like continue marinating and not get into this place of creating out of pressure because I'm done creating out of pressure.
Man, I love, thank you for sharing that too, like your journey, because it really goes to show like our seasons of life and how it contributes. Like, we're more than just artists and creatives and freelance business owners. Like, we have whole lives behind, you know, what we present on these platforms and our websites and even our work. And you sharing that makes you so human, right? And your honesty and the vulnerability with it, I just know for sure it's going to land on the right ears and people are going to feel seen and heard. So I just appreciate you being open and honest about your journey. And it's a beautiful journey, and especially with you making this choice to reclaim your passion. I think a lot of us get lost in the monetization of like this thing that we love to do and how unhealthy it could get. Something that we love can be something that can potentially, what I felt before, toxic in a way, just pulling the life out of me, out of this fear of not showing up the way I should or producing the work that I should. And, you know, but
literally something that brings you joy, sucking the joy out of you.
sucking the joy
And
out of
not
you.
necessarily the craft. It's like
Yeah.
all of the pressures to creating that. And I think that like when I had the boys, I felt like I needed to prove to myself, like, I don't know what I needed to prove to myself, girl, but I just felt like I needed to prove something to myself.
We
Like
be
I
doing
could be
that
a,
to ourselves sometimes, right?
yeah, I'm like, I could
Show
be
them
a mom.
Josefina.
I want y'all to know that I'm a mom and I'm an entrepreneur and I can do this, I can do that. And
Yeah,
I think that a lot of it had to do with the built up trauma during the pregnancy and during the birth that I felt like I have to prove something. And no, you don't.
yeah,
Like, you don't have to prove anything to nobody. And
yeah.
I think that I just wrapped my identity and just made an idol out of my work. And
Mm-hmm. Oh, I feel that.
and now I'm just like, no, like I don't want, that wasn't the intention of it. That is not, when you make an idol out of something, it now becomes the thing that you're worshiping. And I'm like, no, like that is not what I'm living for. Like
Right. And then it becomes so
I'm living to love people, serve them well, but I
yeah.
also want my kids and I want myself to know that it is okay for me to just live.
Mm,
And I think it's hard when you're so dependent on this job and when you're
yeah.
so, and when you find this passion for this job, you know, and like what you're doing, you're afraid to like have open hands towards it. And I think I had my hands clenched for too
Oh,
long.
girl, you are so right. Oh my goodness. Like, I can't remember who I was talking to. I was like, I have this career that I have been wanting since I was a kid, right? It
Yeah.
was a dream. And I was told I couldn't have that because it was unsustainable, right? So now that I have this job and I'm bringing in money, we paying off debt with this job that mommy had that I have, you know, and it's like now I'm like, I can't not, I have to, like, I'm holding on to it really, really tight because I don't want it to be taken from me. This thing that I was
Yeah.
told I couldn't have for so long that I have. And now all of my energy is in keeping it like close to me. But in doing that, I'm not able to receive anything else with my hands closed, right? Because like having your hands open, that's a form of receiving.
Yep.
Girl. Oh, so my wheels are turning. So much I want to say and ask because um especially like, okay, I will say this, like seeing you and knowing your journey with infertility and loss and how you've been able to share that takes a lot of courage, and that was so inspiring to see as someone who's a part of your community. And I want to speak for everyone and say thank you for being having that courage to share your vulnerabilities with us in your season with us because there's so much value there. And that's why you have such an amazing community, because you were able to speak about the things that you were experiencing. And I know it's a lot of lives that were touched. And now that you're in this season of being open to joy, right? And living and functioning and breathing and moving from that space, I'm so excited for what you will experience because I know you will share it with us in a beautiful way because you're such an amazing writer. um, Imagine how impactful you would be in this space now in terms of creativity, in terms of like what you share, how you share it, and how you taking these moments for yourself and just walk through this. I'm excited for you. Like I know you saw me grinning and I was just like, girl, everything that you're sharing now, all of the really tough seasons you've been through, girl, like, and how you are so aware and intentional with how you're moving forward now. I'm excited to see how everything unfolds because it's about to be fire. Like in terms of your journey, your healing journey as a wife, as a mom, and as just a woman and as a creative, right? In all aspects of your life, I just see so much like abundance of like joy. And then thank God too that you can have the awareness or, you know, to know that you were operating from that space and say, I don't want to operate from that space anymore. Like, that's not serving me. I then want to look at it this way. And girl, it's gonna start pouring in. I'm done. Like
Yes,
that
I'm
was
ready.
everything.
Bring it here.
Yeah, girl. Like, so and that's exciting. And I love that you brought up 2020. And I don't know why, but I've been like hesitant to talk about that. I
Same.
don't know why, but as much as I appreciated having people see my work and having more eyes on my work as a Black artist, because we don't get a lot of that, right? In
Yep.
2020, sometimes I resent it
Yeah.
because it was done out of obligation and not out of true desire of some of the people that
Yes.
started following me. Because a lot of those people fell off. And I feel like now it's kind of like back to the to business. Although I know like there's still good that's being done. People are still intentional about, you know, diversity and seeking out Black artists outside of like Black holidays like Juneteenth and Black History Month, like really wanting to see us from another lens. And we have so many layers to us, and we're human beings too. Like, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes I do resent it because I'm like, that was just for that moment. And now everybody's just like back to business as usual in some cases. I won't say everybody, but a lot of people are.
Right. Yeah. A lot
And
of the companies that reached out to me or that highlighted me during
mhm,
that time or sent me a DM talking about can we
mhm,
share your work? And
right,
I would ask them like what is your purpose to share my
right.
work? And they have this big grand idea and then there's crickets. You
Yeah,
hear nothing. And
right.
I'm like, it's just interesting how during that time you still chose to monetize and profit off of us.
Yeah. And then
And
too, that's where that pressure came from to
yes,
it's our work. I think that's when because I was in a season where I was like, oh, discovering the things that I like to do, like live art and really getting into illustration. And I'm glad that, you know, I was able to like, it prompted me to create more, to find my style and like, or refine it or whatnot. But I was just like, there was that pressure there. Oh, I got to keep showing up because
yeah.
finally, you know, these people see us, right? Or, you know,
Finally, they see my talent.
friends are
Finally,
seeing
they're
us, we're
willing to
getting
pay up.
clients. Yeah, like people are seeing us on this platform. And it's like, all right, time to show up. And
Mm-hmm.
with that came the pressure and came like creating out of obligation or because I felt like I had to, that I wasn't really just doing it because I loved it. And then I was losing that time that I was using it for my own self care because art has been that for me since I was little.
Yes.
It turned into like, I don't want to draw today, like, or I don't want to work today, or like, I don't want to do anything in terms of art for a little bit, right? Because it was just
That
like
or even that
stressful.
wanting to explore, you didn't want to do that anymore because you knew people are going to buy from this. So I can't try this new thing. Like,
Yeah. And out of fear to change and evolve and like different things. Like, oh, I want to talk about this, but I also want to talk about this, you know, like, and as a Black woman, I was like, yes, I can speak from this space. Like everybody's interested in learning about like, you know, with Black Lives Matter and, you know, everything that was going on in 2020, like, yeah, as a Black woman, this is going to affect me and I'm going to be honest about how I feel. But there are other things that I like too. There are other layers to me, other passions. And I felt like a lot of people came to my page expecting me to talk about it. And I was just like, I'm gonna talk about it because it affects me in a huge way. I'm impacted by this, but be here for the rest of the stuff that I talk
yeah.
about too.
And I think that
It was
was
so confining sometimes.
that pressure that I also felt because it was like the only time y'all are willing to listen is if I'm sharing about me experiencing racism or
Mhm.
how I feel about the news that has been showing up. And I no longer wanted to saturate myself around the news anymore. Like even
Yes.
now, like I
Yeah.
don't want to, and it's not me being ignorant. It's something I see every day. Even when I look at
Yeah.
my kids, I'm like, I don't even want y'all to grow because I'm afraid of watching y'all. I'm afraid of
Right.
y'all becoming a threat to somebody because of your skin color. And
Yeah.
like, I no longer wanted my page to be a place where people could benefit off of my trauma.
Yeah, that part. I was about to say that, like, benefit off the trauma that you experience.
I'm over here still going and
Yeah.
experiencing that trauma every time I share it,
Yeah.
but y'all aren't getting that in. Then
Right.
you're just saying, thank you for educating us. So thank you for raising awareness. You know what?
Yeah.
Y'all gonna have to find another page to get that awareness because
I
I'm
had
just not the one.
I had to step back and I said, is that the content you want to consistently talk about? Like, yes, it will come up. I will talk about it because
Yeah.
it's not a life that even if I try to escape, I'd be able to do it. I can't even like, and that's why like I used to feel bad because I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I really want to talk about it, but I need to process this. I need to go unpack this for myself, right? And just run
Yeah.
through it because I could say something without thinking because I'm trying to respond to it. No. And eventually I was like, you know what? I'm not going to put that on myself to do because I'm experiencing this, right? In my way. And I have the right to make space for myself, hold space for myself to feel these feelings or whatever. And do I even want to talk about it with y'all? Like,
Right.
is this
Right.
even what I want to post about? Like, it's just so much. And in that moment, I was like, I know that I'm not being ignorant or tone deaf or anything. Like, this is the life that
No.
I live that I can't even escape it as a Black woman. So, like,
Exactly.
but I'm gonna give myself a moment. Give me a
Right.
moment.
And that's what I've been doing now. Like if I
Yeah.
feel like this is something I want to talk about, then I'll do it. If I
Mhm.
really feel that conviction to do it.
Right. Right.
At this point, I'm like, if I need to process my feelings, I'm no longer going to allow myself to process it online. Like
Yep.
I'm going to process them. And if I still feel like something needs to be shared, then I'll share that. But at this point of my life, I'm just like, if it's adding more anxiety into my life, I don't want it. I don't need it. So
I
have
get.
somebody else do it.
Yeah, I
Get
know. I
somebody
was
else to
like,
do it because we ain't.
I
Mm-mm.
know. I know. I do want to talk too about. I saw you mention postpartum depression and feeling the guilt with that because you have been trying for so long. I was in that moment, I was like, oh man, because I know that feeling like of in terms of like postpartum and like, oh my God, I shouldn't be feeling like this. I should be, you know, full of joy and happy, and that hit home for me because that's really when I turned to my creativity because I was like, I need something to
Yeah.
help me get through this. But I bring this up because now I see more conversation about postpartum. But before, when I was experiencing it after both Emmy and Kai, and this was like 2016, a lot of people were like, oh, you know, just pray about it, or, you know,
Mm.
just, you know, I was like, okay, yeah, I did that. I did that. So what
Ain't
else?
listening.
I think I got to a point where I was telling God, I was like, all right, God, like, I know you are in this with me. I said, but I know you have tools and resources that I can use and people that I can lean on. And that was when
Yeah.
creativity, you know, really played a part in my healing process, along with like me taking my supplements, me going to my gynecologist, like, help me, lady. Me leaning into my community, like, how is that journey for you? And again, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that with us.
Yeah. My postpartum journey was very tough. It was really hard. I would say, like, right now, I'm in a season where I can talk about it because I finally feel like my head is getting above water. I feel like I'm
Mhm.
still healing, but it wasn't the birth story I wanted. It wasn't the pregnancy experience I wanted. I wasn't expecting, obviously, to have twins. So everything was not my plan. And it wasn't it wasn't going according to like the story that I envisioned my life to be like when I finally have my rainbow baby.
Right.
So I felt very guilty about that. And I felt like I needed to redeem myself. And I felt like I needed to overwork myself and heal myself quickly. And then there was like this pressure to like even produce milk for two babies, and not being able to have them the first 30 days of their life because they were in NICU was very hard for me to accept. So there were just a lot of things that I struggled with accepting. And I remember like even since the beginning, since I was pregnant, like I told myself I am going to speak up, like if I ever feel like anything is wrong with the pregnancy, whatever, but I never thought about postpartum. I never considered postpartum being a space where I advocated for myself or where I even asked for help. And I struggled a lot during my postpartum season with asking for help because I didn't want to be a burden to people. I didn't want people to think I was ungrateful because I was really struggling with my life. And it wasn't necessarily the kids, it was myself. I was struggling. I felt like I was drowning and I didn't want to be alive anymore. And there would be a lot of thoughts that I would have, and like it was just very dark season and very lonely season. And I'll be honest, it was a hard transition going from like you miscarried to like now you have these two babies that I was on my toes. I was hearing every other week that they're not going to make it. So like even wrapping my head around the fact that they are here and that they like were here during that moment was tough for me, because I was just like, I dealt with so many voices like telling me they're not going to make it. Or we had some friends that would say, oh, I would be so sad if she lost both of them. Some friends. So like it was just so much, and like just adjusting to motherhood was hard, and it was lonely, and there were friendship breakups during like the pregnancy. And I realized that a lot of my friendships, like even during that time before TTC, was based on trauma bonding. And like I used my platform to talk about loss and infertility, and I found a great community in that. But I also know how hard it is when you see that other person make it to the other side, when you see that other person finally, have their baby. Then it's hard because it's like, why? Well, it's happened for you. Like, when is it going to happen for me? So I've seen that, and it was tough just getting to a place where I was like I need help, but I don't want to ask for help because I feel like I should just be grateful. But I remember I love my OBGYN. She is incredible. I'm so grateful that she's been my OBGYN since after my first loss. She was a person that I went into, confided in. She is a Black woman. Dr. Ashby, if you ever hear, I love you. And she would always tell me, like, you are going to have your baby. Like, you are going to have, like, she always spoke life into me, even when I felt like death. So I remember going to her and she asked me like how I was doing. And I told her, I feel like I've been underwater for so long and now I have my head above water, but I'm trying to catch my breath and I can't. Like, I'm struggling to catch my breath. And she like shared, like, you've experienced so much trauma before, after, and during this time. And it's okay to get help. It's okay for you to get help. And it was hard for me. I don't know. It could have been my pride. And it could also be that guilt of like feeling like you shouldn't need the help during this time, especially if this was something you wanted. But just recognizing that that you need help, recognizing that you can't do it by yourself, allowed me to receive the help that I needed. So I took like steps towards that. My husband and I got into marriage counseling, and we love our therapist. She is amazing, which we went back into that because that was a huge adjustment for us. We were so used to just us. And now we have 2 babies,
Right.
you know? So like we have to adjust our entire life around these 2 babies. So it's overwhelming and it's scary. And that's the biggest part. You know, it was scary to even say that it was scary because you felt like you needed to just be grateful. Just be grateful.
Right.
Or because people would say that to you, oh, just be grateful that, oh, just be thankful that, da 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 da
Yeah.
da. So I felt like I just needed to just be thankful and deal with what I was dealing with by myself. And I remember my friend Alex asked me how I was doing. This
We
was
love
like, we
Kelly.
love you. Asked me how I was doing. Like, I think it was like April, May of last year. And I was like in the thick of it. And I remember sending her a voice note and I couldn't even fake it. I just cried. I just wept. Like, I just cried. And it gets me emotional thinking about it now because I was just like in a really dark space. And she came that weekend. And it was like so uplifting to me. Like, I'll never forget because I was in such a dark space and I felt so alone. And like, I felt like, you know, this is all my fault. Like, even the friendship breakups and stuff, these people could have still been in my life, but I think I was just like bargaining, I guess, because I didn't have anybody around and my family's not here. So it's just me, Jay, and the boys. So like just going through this new experience and not having anybody around was very tough for me. And I'm an introvert. You know, I thrive off being by myself, but I needed a community. So when she came that weekend, it was just the spark I needed to get to a better space. And it like helped me even like with our surroundings. And now we're in a space where we go to a new church. We've been going there since we since 2020 we've been there. No, 2021 we've been there, and they've been there since pregnancy. They've prayed us through our entire pregnancy, and now like we're making friends there. And I'm in a space where I'm like, I need community and I'm not going to be afraid to ask for community, even if I feel like I'm betraying myself because I feel like too prideful to ask for help, or I feel like I need to be thankful for this. I think that we can be grateful, but we can also ask for help. That doesn't neglect. That doesn't mean gratitude doesn't mean that everything else is covered.
Right.
I can receive the help that I need and find gratitude where I'm at.
Right. And we need community. We need people. Like, thank God for our helpers. Thank God for our support system, right? And like I said earlier, when I do anything, I know it's way better with other people with me than it is for me to do stuff by myself, because I do get to the point where I'm like, I should be able to do this by myself. Like, this whole thing started with me just doing it by myself. And I was like, oh, I know that part of this is missing. And I'm realizing now that with others with you on any journey, it's just like, it makes it easier to navigate. So the fact that you had Alex, that she came to see you, and you have your church family and you have your husband, like, yeah, you ain't supposed to do none of that by yourself, girl, especially that season. I think that's when I really leaned into my support system too, going through postpartum depression. And it does get really dark. And I got to a point where I was like, I need somebody, because this is hard and I can't not do this alone. So,
and I would look at like other women who like experienced like loss and infertility, and they just look online. They just looked like they were thriving. And I'm like, why am I not there? Why is this so hard for me? And like, I look back at pictures of the boys now, like, or videos I took of them during that time. I can't remember it. I don't remember. I have those memories there, and I'm like, And Jay would say, like, do you remember this picture? And I'm like, no, like, this is wild.
Yeah.
But now that I'm in the space where I'm receiving the help and support that I need, it's so fun. It gets so overwhelming sometimes with the boys. They are so crazy. But it's like now, like, it's like my heart, like, just can't take so much of that love and of that joy. And like, there's, even with like experiencing postpartum depression and anxiety, I feel no guilt in this season of my life. I feel no like guilt towards feeling that way, because I know it was just a part of that process for me. And some women don't experience that. And good for you, because let me tell you something, it's rough.
Right? Yeah, it does.
It's rough. But at the same time, I'm just like, you know what? This has led me to the joy that I'm experiencing now. And I think that if I asked for help sooner, I wish that would be my one wish, that I would have asked for help sooner and not allowed guilt or pride to consume me to the point that I felt like I should be doing this. Like, I should do this by myself.
Yeah.
Because truly it is a journey that you can't do by yourself. But being in a place where you don't have immediate support around you, it takes a toll on you.
Yeah.
But I'm just very grateful that even through that, like, even my friends who were far, who lived further away, like, we're still able to offer support. And I'm in a season now where I'm like, if I'm struggling, you gonna hear that I'm struggling, because I'm gonna tell you that I'm struggling. If you ask me how I'm doing, I'm gonna tell you I'm struggling. Yeah, because I'm like, I think that it's complex when you've, in a sense, found your identity through struggle. So like, it's like, dang, I don't want to be that sob story. So it's that like guilt and those voices. But I think now I'm in a space, like, our therapist, our marriage therapist has, like, she's so awesome. But one of the things that she's encouraged me to do is speak up as soon as I feel tension, or if it's taken so long. Because growing up, you know, I wasn't taught, like, we were told not to say, you know, if you're struggling, if this is bothering you, you ain't telling no grown-ups what's going on.
Right.
And I think that a lot of this transition to motherhood and just seeing yourself and your children, it has also resurfaced a lot of the trauma that I experienced as a child. And I feel sometimes like I just shrink and I don't like speak up. I don't share like how I feel, because I don't want to cause any friction or have someone feel bad. But she's like, no, you need to own the space that you're in, and you cannot feel guilty for someone else's, like, how they receive the message, but you need to speak up. And I think that was what I needed to hear, even in terms of like my artistic journey now and where I'm at, and just being real with myself. Like, if I'm not okay, and I know I'm not okay, like, I can't be the best mom I can be to my kids. I can't be the best version I can be for myself if I'm just not in a healthy space.
Yeah. Yep. Oh my goodness. That's so many gems be dropping in this. But yeah, that is also true. And that's why it is so important for us to realize for ourselves, like, the things that we experience and how we care for ourselves, how we live, what we consume, how we take care, that all it manifests in everything that we do, what we create, and how we show up for our families as moms, as wives, and as friends, and just as beings. I'm a creative being. So I did this short series where I was recording life behind the lens of like Instagram, just really to show my community that I'm still a mama, somebody wife. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Outside of this, and there are really a lot more layers to me than what is presented here, and just to show the human side of this process, because for me, like a lot of what everything that I feel like as creatives, everything we create comes from something within at our core, what we've learned,
Yes.
and something we've experienced, and something that we desire to see for ourselves. And I was like, I want to start showing the process to that. I want to start talking about, yes, I'm creating and sketching Black women in confidence, and speaking the message of making space for community and for yourself, or letting yourself be in community or in your power, like all these collections that I've developed over time. I said, but I want to talk about when that started. Like I want to talk about what sparked that moment or what I experienced. And I talk a lot about how this journey started for me, in a season of postpartum depression, turned into creativity, and God using that with many other things and people in my life to help me get through that season. That started with calligraphy, starting something new. And then my first collection with Woman in Bloom, like when I was like, oh, I actually feel like I'm coming up for air, and I get to see myself, this new male, like at 30, what year was that? 32, or I was like 30. I was fresh in my 30s too, going through that and using that as a tool. But I just really wanted to start talking about how things unfold and how it starts not being how it finishes. And that's why this space was created, because a lot of what you've experienced in your life, right, has contributed to your creativity, negative and positive, like out of
Yeah.
pressure, but then too out of like needing something to unleash or to use it as a journaling or a meditation or something, to leave it on the paper, on the canvas, on like in terms of writing, like leaving it there. There are parts that contribute to what we create, because we're creating from our true, like our most authentic space in whatever season of life we, navigating, both good and challenging, and, processing, healing, and growing our growth journey too. And that's what this is all about. And I love to have these conversations. I will ask you this too. Tell us a little bit about how you navigate the creative process now, like today, and what it looks like.
Oh, that's fun. Because it is completely different than what
Yep.
I did before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was taking art classes while I was pregnant, so it was great. I
Remember that.
loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, I can do that." Once the boys are here, no. No, girl. It's completely different. Now
Yeah.
we do with what we got and whatever time we have left.
Yeah. Whatever time we working with, right? Yes.
Yes.
I
So
feel
I think
that.
the process right now,
Mm-hmm.
I had to one shift my mindset
Mm-hmm.
of I am a full-time creative to I am a
Mm-hmm.
full-time mom, and then I'm a creative second.
Yep.
And that was hard for me because I did not want to give that title up. But I
Mm.
had to get to that space because it allowed me to, okay, once I get all these mommy duties taken care of, now I can fill up my cup, my creative cup, and
Yeah.
I would be able to create more. So there's a lot of lists in my replenish planner. I've been using my planner, and I'll write down, because we were talking about it earlier, but that brain fog is so real. And I will have like a bunch of tabs open with like stuff that needs to get done. And I will completely forget as soon as I have to change a dirty diaper. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, okay, what was I doing? Let me get to the dishes. Oh, wait, I was putting laundry away. Oh, wait a minute. I got to finish the bed. Oh, I got to do this.
Oh yeah.
So, what I've been doing right now is I'll do the 1 hour method in the morning. Once I wake up, my first hour is going towards like any like light chores that need to get done around the house. And I'll do this before our nanny comes in. Then
Mm-hmm.
our nanny's here from like 10 to 5. So typically what I do on Mondays is like just a chill day. And I typically stay home on Mondays just because I'm like, if I can pick up the house on Monday and have kind of everything in order, then like Tuesday and Wednesday I can go out and like have a little coffee shop date, like solo date for myself, or just explore somewhere, go to a thrift store, whatever. So my creative process right now is just doing different things that like I enjoy. And I'll take like a sketchbook with me, or I'll take my iPad with me, or a journal with me. And whether I want to read or write or something like that, time for myself is just how I create. One of the things I've also added to my schedule is I'm writing and I'm using the Substack platform. So I absolutely love it because I am just writing about, so I have this series called Something Warm, and I try to do the Something Warm series weekly for like, okay, so this is a newsletter, but you get to like, you can have free subscribers. And then if they pay like $5 a month, you get like full access to a lot of things. Yeah. So right now I like, this is how I keep myself consistently writing on a weekly basis. That's right so cool. Now, daily basis is not going to work for me because life is just really busy. And I feel like I feel like before it was very easy for me to be consistent on a daily basis with different things. But right now in this season of my life with the boys, sometimes I'm just too tired to write, and I cannot deal with the guilt of like, I gave myself this assignment and I couldn't do it. So allowing myself to see consistency on a weekly basis has been helpful. So for Substack, that's what I've been doing. I've been writing weekly, or trying to write weekly since November. So like I'll send out, like that's my writing that I get done for a week. And it's like a weekly wrap up with like a reflection and with like a song that has been like playing around my playlist the entire week that I've been liking, and like journal questions. And that's been so fun. Yeah. That's been so fun.
Imagine that is fun. And it's like something that you can continue like with your practice in writing. Yes. And then you have these people that are looking for, like, to hear from you in the newsletter. So I recently discovered Substack. I think it's a cool platform. And
it's so fun for writers. If you love to write, like that is the space that I recommend, because I've been just loving being able to explore different things and like getting back to writing, because that's been kind of intimidating since like stepping into being a mom. So that's one of the big parts of my creative processes right now. It's like, if I don't do anything this week creatively that filled my tank because motherhood got the best of me, I still have Substack. I still have a space where I can write. So I do that. I've been trying to do like a monthly art date. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Case for Making, but they do like online classes, online art classes. So like sometimes I'll take an art class from them, or I'll do something for myself. I'll try to do that at least once a month. What's another thing I've been doing a lot of like video recording. So I'm hoping to have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, you mentioned YouTube. Okay. I love that.
So I'm going to like my creative process, right? Well, really, it's just like, I just want to share life stuff on YouTube. So like my trip to DR, like me, like seeing my dad for the first time in 7 years, like I want to record that in a beautiful, like artsy way and like share it on YouTube. So like video making has been really fun, and like kind of exploring that. My daily walks. I try to do a daily walk. If I can't do a daily walk, we try to do it like every other day, but just going outside for the sake of our mental health, me, the kids, and Jay, like we just all go outside, and that's great. But right now it's just super simple, like just living life and trying to incorporate slower moments. So changing my instant coffee maker to a espresso maker, and I make my coffee on the stove. That allows me
drip too, right?
Yes,
drip too, because you got me on a Copper Cow, girl.
I love me some Copper Cow,
girl. I give Copper Cow to people, like I did.
Copper Cow. If y'all need somebody,
Because you put me on. Yes. And it's so good. So I remember that. Yeah.
Love their stuff. So being able to just change some of the like daily things to like something slower and more intentional has been fun. And even trying not to put that pressure on like cleaning the entire house because it's about to get messy in like 5 seconds with the kids.
Don't I know it? Yeah.
That's hard. That's hard. So I give myself like the 1 hour method to clean in the morning. And I'll give myself like at least like 30 minutes before I'm going to bed to like pick up like any toys that are on the floor or anything like that. And then when I wake up the next day, then I'll like clean up some things that need to be clean.
I'm going to try that because I be getting lost in like the big thing and not taking it a step at a time. It's like, oh, I need to clean everything at once. And every time I clean, it needs to be like a deep clean. And my husband was like, just do what you can. Okay, give yourself 15 minutes. And then I don't do it. So then there's that. That way it's not serving.
Then I clean. Get it together. Girl, not me. Then I clean and I'm mad. I'm mad cleaning. Like nobody know how to pick up after themselves. Like I just got to clean.
I know, yeah. Oh, girl.
So the 1 hour method is nice because you're just like, put that timer on. You could spend like a couple, like 10 minutes in your room, pick up. And then like, okay, once I'm out of this room, okay, let's go to the kitchen. Let's wash the dishes. Let's blah, blah, blah. So like, it's nice because then you're like, okay.
I need that timer life because I will make it a whole day, like huge project thing. And I think that's what overwhelms me for sure. So I'm going to have to try that, girl, because
my Mondays are the full day ones. Because like Mondays, since I decide to stay home, I just do a full day and I'll do like cleaning and I'll do cooking at home and I'm prepping for the week ahead. So like Mondays is typically that day, which is funny because Saturdays used to be that day for my parents.
That's what I've always known that day to be. Yeah, Saturdays.
But I'm like, you know, it's interesting. I just want the weekends to be so sacred between me and like my family, especially like since Jay works like weekly, I'm like, you know, like the weekends is for us. So I rather just let the weekend be the weekend and like take care of the home and stuff like that on Mondays, just because I just want to savor this time with them being so small. And I just want them to know like I care more about you than our house, even though it sometimes
on the floor.
Crazy.
You know what's funny? I told Kevin, I was like, I want Mondays to be my off day so I can get us all, you know, ready for the week. And he was like, well, you know, Monday is the start of the week. And I was just like, I think it's different because like corporate America, Monday is your start date. But my day is kind of like I have the flexibility to pick whatever day I want my week to start because you know, am in charge of the schedule. So I love that you said that because Mondays, it just feels better for me to like plan the week out, get all the things together, clean up, all of that. But we'll see because it's summertime. So it's a whole new.
Yes, girl.
It's a whole new rhythm that's about to start playing. A whole nother song. I'm going to have to catch the rhythm too. But we'll see how that looks for the Older Lucy household. But in terms of writing, what would you say? Because you like just glowed when you started talking about Substack and writing and things like that. And I love that. What would you say is the most enjoyable part of your creative process in terms of writing?
I feel like I used to think too hard in writing. Like, oh, this needs to be the best written piece I ever write. But interestingly enough, this year I started reading more fiction books instead of self-help books. And this allowed me to like change my messaging more. So when it comes to like my creative writing process, a lot of it comes from like getting a good fiction book reading. I like urban fiction, y'all.
I love
me a book. I love me a hood book, girl.
Yes, I know.
I read Cold this winter earlier this year, and honey, I read that in like one day.
That was the first urban fiction novel I ever read. And me and
Mine
my
was
friends,
Fly
I remember.
Girl.
Huh?
Did you read Fly Girl?
I did. Oh my God, yes. Like, okay, so Coldest Winter Ever was the first book. Me and my friends, we would pass books around. Like we would have like bring in a new book and we would move the first book out of the rotation. That was the first book, and ever since I have been hooked. And since I was a young girl, after I read that book, I always wanted my midnight. Yeah, that was me. That was me.
Not,
I was that one.
not us giggling.
Yes, girl. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to meet my midnight.
Girl,
Girl,
when
I'm there.
I think, okay, so Fly Girl was my first book, and I used to love Omar Tyree. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to Howard University because that's where Omar Tyree went.
Yes.
Howard.
Oh my goodness.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
love me a good hood book. I
Mm-hmm.
read Before I Let Go. I finished that in less than 24 hours, girl. It was so good. I sacrificed sleep.
That's when you know it's good.
I had a whole book. I got my whole book light. Jay's like, it's been a little while since you had your book light. Because I'll like just lay down on my bed. I have my little book light on and I'm just reading. That
Yeah.
has brought me so much joy because it's helped my writing process. I'm not thinking so intensively about like what I'm going to share. Like now I'm just like, like I can just look back at the week and reflect on like something that like really resonated this week. So like 1 week for my Substack, Something Warm series, I talked about since I'm leaving to DR, I'm only taking 2 suitcases with me. And I shared about like this decluttering season of my life and what it's been like looking like for me, and how a lot of times we have like how sometimes creative wise you just feel stuck because there's so much blockage around you and you just need to like release a bunch of stuff. And it's interesting because you can look at just these crazy tasks that you have like around your house that you do, and there's a story right there, like in the process of what you're doing. So like now I'm just like, I'm not out here looking for the best story to share. There's a bunch of stories happening around us. Yes. Whichever one resonates most to me this week, then that's what I'm going to share about. So that's been like the fun thing about Substack, because I'm like, I can talk to y'all about my week, but in a
isn't that like a form of journaling too? Like that's just really like allowing you to like, oh, that's on so many levels of just like, yay, because you get to share these moments, you get to write, and it's a form of journaling. Like you recapping your week and you're really being mindful and present, to get these moments that you get to share.
Yeah.
I love
so
it.
That's one. So even though like shop is closing, like I'm still going to be writing. And you can also like share voice recordings there. So you can do like little podcasts, mini podcasts there. I think now you can add video. So like I'll be like working on my like YouTube stuff and like sharing it there. And I love it because it's like an online journal for myself. And like people can read it.
Okay, Substack is pretty lit. Like I like that. I like it a lot. That's so cool.
And there's very good writers there. Such good writers. I love reading the newsletters there.
I love it here. I love that. I love that for you too. Like that's really cool. Because this is going to open up new things, like new like practices, and it can contribute to your art. It allows you to just be fully present in like everything, like especially in traveling to DR, seeing your dad and being with the boys and them experiencing it, Jay experiencing it. Like this is going to be so good for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to hurry up and get my sweater that I wanted though.
Yes, girl, because we closing shop on
Friday. Every time I'm like, oh, I need to get that. Every time I say, oh, I need to get, no, I'm getting my sweater.
It's closing Friday, sis.
I know, yeah. When I saw it, I said, oh, hold on, like let me get my goods first. But this is an exciting season for you, and I'm excited to see it unfold. Like I'm gonna be paying close attention, I'm turning my little notification on because I need to see what Josephine is doing. I'm incredibly like inspired too by you and like your journey up until this point and how you are sharing like this journey of joy now. And we want to see all the things. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
For real. Last question though. And I've been asking everybody this, and it's been okay. I'm going to say this. So every time I ask someone this question, they're like, oh, what I'm pretty much going to say to myself now, because I feel like everyone I've been talking to, we have been like approaching a new season, doing new things, which takes us back to when we were a beginner in the things that we're experts in now, right? And feeling that feeling that you felt before again, but from a new lens, as a new person, what would you tell Josefina at the beginning of her creative journey with everything you've experienced and know now? To pour into her, to encourage her and inspire her as she navigates her creative process and her journey.
Ooh, you don't have to seek outside validation. You are worthy and joy is in you. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like turning red and chills and everything, like just happening right now. That part.
Yeah. Full circle moment, honey.
Yeah, very much full circle. Because too, like you're even speaking to you now.
Yeah.
What you know to be true now.
Yeah.
That's really cool, right?
Yeah. Wow.
I know. Because I know I talked to someone, another artist, and she was like, because I asked her, I said, what would you tell yourself, when you started your journey? She was like, well, because she's embarking on a new creative like medium and how she wants to evolve as an artist. And she was like, well, pretty much what I would want to tell myself now, because I am a beginner. And I was like, oh my God, that is a point. That is such a great point.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Girl, I'm writing it down.
Yes. Yeah, write that down. That was a gem. And you speaking to me too.
Oh, you know what? I'm changing it.
What did you change it to?
I changed the last part. You don't have to seek validation. You are worthy. Joy is already yours.
I love that. Yeah. Oh.
Because we be looking for that validation to fill our little joy tank.
Yes. No, for real. Like, very, very, very true.
That joy is there, sis. Look around.
Yeah. It's around you.
Just like art.
Other places in front of you. Yeah.
Just like art. Just like stories for a writer. Yeah. It's already there. But sometimes we just get so caught up that we're like, we need the best one.
Yep. It has to be perfect.
I need the best art series.
Right. The best collection, the best all the things.
It needs to sell out in order for me to find validation in my work.
Yep. It's so very true. And I was thinking too, like, no one has the power, nothing or no one has the power to tell you otherwise. You have to know it for yourself.
Yeah.
Because even if people are like, oh, I love your work. Even when people tell you like, oh, I love your work so much. I can't wait till you come up with something new. I love the colors you use. I love your technique and style. But if you don't believe it for yourself, you can't even be receptive to that.
You'd be like, it's okay.
You'd be like, thank you. Uncomfortable. Thank you so much.
And that's why we're reclaiming our passion, honey.
Exactly. I had to say it loud in the mic because that is so true. I felt everything you said today. Thank you again for sharing your story with us here. I know for sure it will touch someone's heart. It will land on the right ears. It will resonate. And people will be impacted and encouraged and inspired from what you shared with us today.
Thank you.
As always, I love you.
I love you.
And you have to let the people know where to find you.
You can find me on Love Offering on Instagram, and you can find me on cuidate.substack.com if you want to get the Something Warm series.
Yeah, yes, that part. And your website.
Loveoffering.co, but it's going to be closed. I'm shutting it down.
Shutting it all down. Yes. Okay.
We'll be back. We'll be back sometime. Don't know when, but
when you're ready, girl, come back because it'll be the best timing ever. So whenever you come back,
hit up the Substack.
Yes. Well, thank you so much again for being here, and I can't wait for us to reconnect and to hear about your trip, to hear about what you discover in this season. And I love you so much.
I love you too.
Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that today's discussion sparked your creativity and inspired you to embrace your unique journey. Don't forget to share your thoughts, stories, and creations with me. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Leave a review, and let's continue to support and inspire one another on this incredible journey. Until next time, keep creating.